Before we get started with the video, I want to say if any of you guys out there are looking for cheap GTA Shark cards for the next DLC, or you're just looking for cheap PC games or just games all around, you can check out g2a.com, second link in the description, and use code ZCTV. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is ZacCox, and today what we got for you are some effects that 9/11 and the attack on the World Trade Centers in September 2001, just some of the effects that they had on the video game industry, which led to certain video games being drastically changed in some aspects to kind of stray away from 9/11 and the effects that it ultimately had on the world. So these are really cool, and in some cases there's some creepy coincidences. So if you guys just find the video enjoyable and worthy of a like or a thumbs up, definitely be sure to do that. The support is greatly appreciated. I know some of you out there find it annoying when YouTubers ask this, but what could be trifling and annoying to you guys actually is motivation for me to keep on making videos. So thank you guys for the support. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first video game that we have is called Command & Conquer Red Alert 2. And this is a real-time strategy game that was released in October of 2000, a full year almost before 9/11 happened. And what's crazy is that on the back of this game's cover, it featured the Twin Towers and an airplane that looked like it was flying directly towards them and about to crash into them, and we could see kind of soldiers jumping out of the back of this airplane, of course. And this is just one of those creepy coincidences, as the game released a whole year, like I said, before 9/11 happened, and then after the attacks on the World Trade Center, the back cover art of this game was changed up just a little bit to alter how this airplane looked and to make it look less like an airplane going straight into the World Trade Center. So that's crazy. That's one of the first instances of this that we actually have within video game history, of a game being tied, not necessarily tied, but having some kind of strange similarities to 9/11 and what happened. And actually the next game that there was Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro. This game was also released in 2000, and what's crazy is that in one of the final battles of Enter Electro, it was set up atop of one of the World Trade Centers, and then after the attacks on the World Trade Center, this game was pulled from all the shelves, and the final stage was actually just reworked and re-released so that this final level no longer referred directly to the World Trade Centers, and of course it would less resemble the Twin Towers, just to clear up all of that crazy confusion that could be going on from this level. And once again, this is something that was just crazy because this game came out in 2000, way before 9/11 even happened. Now, one game that was drastically changed and almost directly affected by the attacks on the World Trade Center was Grand Theft Auto 3. And unlike the first two games that I mentioned earlier on in this video, GTA 3 was still in development when the attacks did occur. And there's a few reasons why GTA 3 was directly affected by the attacks on the World Trade Center. First off is that Rockstar Games HQ was actually located just a few blocks away from Ground Zero, so that's a red flag number one there. And number two, there are just so many contextual references in GTA 3 that Rockstar said that they were no longer comfortable with, and just a couple very rare gameplay instances that Rockstar felt were no longer appropriate in GTA 3, and this led to the game actually being delayed so these changes could be made. Now, the actual changes made to the game include just a removal of a character from the game, and that was a revolutionary by the name of Darkle, who intended to bring economic collapse to Liberty City. The change to the color scheme of Liberty City's police vehicles from a light blue resembling that of the NYPD to just a more general black and white police car. And last but not least, one of the main things that was changed was actually the cover art for Grand Theft Auto 3. And because of this, the signature style that we see on all the GTA cover arts was adopted, and that's what we see now because of 9/11, believe that. And this was changed because Rockstar felt that the previous packaging was too raw. And the previous packaging and original cover art for GTA 3 was actually released in Europe, so if you go and look at the European version versus the American version, you can see what the original one would have looked like. So that is really, really cool. Up next, we have probably one of the most obvious influences that 9/11 actually had on video games, and that is the current FPS obsession with the Middle East and kind of the modern warfare setting, which actually has been kind of strayed away from within the last 2 years because most of these games are taking place in the future, which suck. I think you guys agree with me there, but for a while we saw a lot of these first-person shooter games, such as the Call of Duty series, Medal of Honor, and all these other games taking place, like I said, in a modern warfare setting. Yet, this is a very indirect, generalized influence that 9/11 had on video games, but it's one that took a long time to develop, because if we think back to the early 2000s and around the time of the attacks, most mainstream shooters had just discovered the World War II setting, and that's where most of them took place. Take a look at the original Call of Duty 1, 2, the big red one. Take a look at Medal of Honor Allied Assault, which actually was not released until October 2002, whereas the only major release at the time to feature a Middle Eastern setting before the year 2005 was the PS2 game SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs, which in a time, if you think about it, SOCOM was way ahead of its time as it actually released 2 months before Medal of Honor Allied Assault, which landed on the beaches of Normandy, like I said, in October 2002. So that's pretty cool if you think about it, how 9/11 had this indirect influence on games where we strayed away from the World War II setting and ventured into the modern warfare setting. Now, last but not least, we're going to be answering one of the biggest myths in Grand Theft Auto history, and that is why there are no flyable planes in Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, one of the biggest rumors is that this was to prevent reenactments of 9/11, as we know that Liberty City is an in-game, almost real-life depiction of New York City. However, that is not the case, and we have official word from Rockstar, and just using common sense so we can kind of decipher why there are no flyable airplanes in GTA 4. And the first reason is that a 6-block radius around Ground Zero was removed from Liberty City and Grand Theft Auto 4, as well as there's no World Trade Center in GTA 4, so how could you reenact 9/11 with an airplane when there was no World Trade Center? Yeah, you could crash into other buildings, but that is not reenacting 9/11. And the reason that there's no flyable airplanes in GTA 4 is because the map and the city is just too small. And we have official word from Rockstar Games on this, and they said that players won't be able to fly their airplanes. There are no planes because it's just a city, and this is coming from Dan Houser, one of the president and founders of Rockstar Games. And apart from the fact that there's vehicles wherever you are, it's still realistic. Nico Bellic is not going to be riding a unicycle or rollerblading around. We're giving a choice of variety that feels right for the character. We are not suddenly saying that there will be no more motorbikes. We're keeping all this stuff. And we're keeping the same range and diversity that we had. It's just going to fit the character more. And you can pick how you want to play the game and navigate through the story. So that's why there's no flyable airplanes in GTA 4, simply because the map is too small. So if you guys did enjoy this video and these influences that 9/11 had on video games and would like to see more content like this on my channel, first off, a like rating is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for the support. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet to never miss out. And with that said and out of the way, I believe that's just about it. You guys all take it easy. Have a safe one. My name is ZacCox, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.